Welcome. Thank you. I'm Shoto. I'm the Sukansu and the Shisui here at SokukoJi Buddhist Monastery, which means I help keep things going, trying to help with the programming and the property upkeep here. I just want to invite anyone who finds value in these teachings to please participate either by joining us for the Dharma talks from either Sokuzan or his monks, his students. Join us for any of the book studies throughout the week, even just one time throughout the week would be great to see you in our Zendo or to join us online. We could really use your help with your practice, joining us, and also financially to help us keep the programming going here. So thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of you. Thank you for coming to this Dharma talk. I'm a little bit winded, so it'll take me a minute to catch my breath. This cup was gifted to me not too long ago because of teachings I give about disappointment. And it said, disappointment awaits. We found a park called Disappointment State Park. It's getting more and more popular. Not that I'm particularly negative. So, anybody remember what I said this morning? Dharma talk was going to be titled? What is it?
Distracted consciousness.
Good, thank you, sir. Distracted consciousness. So consciousness or awareness that is distracted is consciousness or awareness that is not really seeing what is the truth or seeing what is actually happening in any given moment. If you're looking at something, trying to see something, you're distracted. We all know this. If you're trying to do your homework, everybody still in school here? No, I know you are. Stephanie, right?
Yes.
Yes. Nice to meet you. So, distracted. So if you're trying to concentrate on something, that distraction, this distraction, this is one of the reasons that we, or I, and Buddhist teachers down through the centuries, thousands of years, have been saying, train your mind. And all training your mind, you don't have to believe. Buddhism is not a belief system. It looks like it, appears like it because it started 2,500 years ago, so it looks like something people believe in. Well, there's quite a bit of belief with that initially when we first start out, maybe the first 5 or 10 years you're practicing, might have a lot of belief going on. But eventually, the very nature of the practice of meditation, which emphasizes what? Awareness. Not thoughts, not concepts, not figuring things out, not calculation, not even rationality. It doesn't emphasize that. Now, you might have that, and if you come this direction towards this teacher, I'm not going to interfere with that. If you need to work with belief or some kind of positionality in terms of right and wrong or something, I won't argue with you about it. But if you're asking me about what's happening in your mind stream that is causing difficulty, distress, worry, blaming yourself, shame, blaming others, pride. That's what happens when pride shows up. You start blaming others because the pride seals you right off, so you can't see there's a strong ego here that gets its fuel, its sustenance from blaming. It's invisible, very hard to see, which I think means the same thing, doesn't it? No, it means invisible means you can't see it. So it's not invisible. In this situation, you can see it. You just have to look at it. And when you look at it, whatever you look at, you have to receive it. And if you receive something completely, you won't know what it is. This is a very important aspect to it. You won't. If you know what it is, then you've named it. If you know what it is, then you've judged it. If you know what it is, then you've appreciated it. If you know what it is, then you've disrespected it. If you know what it is, any kind of curvature that goes around that as far as your thought process, it just stops you from seeing the truth of what this is. And what is this? What is anything? I don't care where you look. Look in your pantry, look down your sidewalk, look at the wheels on your car, look at your partner, look at your dog, look. Anywhere you look, you are observing through the visual consciousness, you are observing through auditory consciousness, you're observing through everything, including memory. And as you include all of this, Instead of just including, you come to conclusions, you judge, you push away, you stop, you change. This is what the Buddha addressed 2,500 years ago. Passion, aggression, ignorance, these are the things that stop you from living a spiritual path and cause you to live a mundane path. Not wrong, it's not wrong to live a mundane path. Chop wood, carry water, paint the house, take your dog for a walk. Whatever you have to do, are all very mundane, ordinary things, and they are part of the spiritual path, but they are not the spiritual path. The spiritual path has all of that, has the mundane walking down the road, fixing the fence, taking a squeak out of the closet door. Very simple, ordinary things. And they're necessary. We need that. We need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to do the laundry, etc. But, if you want to see your true nature, your spiritual nature, which in the Buddhist Dharma, or the truth of the Buddha's teaching, is that you're not separate from anything. There are no separate beings anywhere. This is an illusion. And we are contained by it, grasped by it, controlled by it. And when belief comes in, belief works in some ways. I often say I practically use this all the time. I don't believe much, but I do believe the cars in the parking lot. But I have no proof. Chuckwheats, what do you think? Is it out there?
Might be.
I like that. Exactly, it might be. It might be. So when we get in that area where, you can't see everything, might be out there. But when we believe that we're a solid self that needs protecting, we're threatened. Somebody's upset with us. Somebody doesn't like us. Somebody judges us. Somebody. Or when we're trying to promote this. It can be very, it's just very painful and difficult. It promotes further pain here with you. You might not know it if you're blaming others for it, then you don't realize you're creating your own pain. Disappointment waits. So this happens in various aspects of consciousness, not just a mundane area, but it also happens in our mind stream as we're interacting with people or with our husband, our wife, our children, our grandfather, grandparents, anybody in our culture, in our spiritual community. The interaction there is full of ideas, opinions, beliefs, judgments, conclusions, exclusions, on. It's just an elaboration of otherness, other. And the practice of the Buddha's Dharma is to sit down, train your mind, meditate, hold still, sit symmetrical, and observe what the mind does. It goes and it comes. You project out things, you outflow, you think about things, you outflow. Think, judge, evaluate, condemn, conclude, make up stories, believe in stories, reject stories, on and on and on and on. You don't have to stop any of that. You get to do all of that you want. You can just, if you're talking to me, but you're not, but you're listening to me, say, don't fight with anything. No more war forever. No more war. Just receive this incredible world that most of the world is ignoring and rejecting. You are actually in the heaven realm. You just don't know it. Because we fight and we find enemies. We judge people. But fundamentally, who you are you are only consciousness. You're not even a physical form. This body goes away, who you actually are doesn't go anywhere. It may, if you're really locked into this physical form, then when you pass away, you may have to go down into the fire pit or into the dirt. You'll feel like that's happening. How do I know? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just speculating myself based on what I'm looking at and what I've been looking at for well over half a century. The spiritual path about seeing the truth, not inventing, not grasping, rejecting, shutting down. It's all about receiving. That's what these are for. If you notice, all the 5 sense fields receive. The ear doesn't produce a single sound. The eyes don't produce visual objects. You see, these are receivers. And if I may take it a step further, even the mind does not produce thoughts. It just looks like it. It's called an illusion. What do illusions do? They fool us. They get us to think something's true that is not. But don't take my word for it. Don't believe anything. Don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you think. Don't believe anything you feel. And the third one is the most important. Don't ignore it. Because if you ignore it, that's not exactly disbelief. If you ignore it, that shuts it down so you can't even see disbelief or belief. Just receive it. Smell it, taste it, touch it, hear it, think it, feel it. Remember it. Just be this, be this. Just be this. Boring, huh? Carpeting, walls, people. It's an illusion. And if you try to disbelieve it, then that creates more of an illusion. If you try to believe it, that's an illusion. And if you ignore it, that's an illusion. The only thing you can do, my understanding, this is coming from this person, not something that I'm subscribing to, that I'm trying to foist off on you. You should do what I'm doing. No, you should do what you should not miss your life. If you need to get up and walk out of this room or turn off this Zoom screen right now, you should do it. Don't do anything unless you have to. But if you have to, of course, click. Do something else with your life. Don't miss your life. Live the karma that brought you the color of your skin, the shape of your ears, the tone of your voice, your sexual orientation, or whatever it may be. Live it. And if other people try to get in your way to stop you from doing that, you might have to object to that a little bit. You might have to do it. You might have to say, no, you live your life, I will live my life. Sometimes we get carried away with so-called raising children. You should protect your children and respect them. You shouldn't try to get them to live the way you think they should live. This is all based on belief, opinions, judgments, evaluations, and ethics, ethics are not correct. They're appropriate sometimes they're very appropriate, and they very much fit the situations, but you can't just take, these are ethics, so I'll just use the ethics and I'll never examine anything again. I'll just, any problem comes up, I'll just use an ethic. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. I was told by my teacher, Kobanchi Roshi, when he talked to me about the 16 precepts that we receive in this lineage. When I said, I'd like to take the precepts with you, he said, you don't take precepts, you observe them. You don't obey anything. Don't obey anything. And as he also said once, get your own authority. Get your own authority. You decide. If you really truly get your own authority, you see there is no such thing. There's no such thing as authority. This is the spiritual path. This is complete humility and complete holiness. Just complete. It's just this. It's ordinary. It's ordinary magic, as my teacher Trungpa Rinpoche once referred to it. It's ordinary. It's magical, and it's flat out ordinary. The distracted awareness, the distracted consciousness can involve you in a whole lifetime of 70, 80 years of doing this, doing that, fighting with this, agreeing with this, judging that, following this and this and this. And it's not that it doesn't have some value. Of course it does. Of course it's valuable. Of course you should get a degree. And of course you should become a carpenter, get married, have children. You should do all of that. You should do everything that's happening in society. Don't ignore society. In ancient times, some spiritual sannyasins or mendicants would go up into the mountains to separate themselves from society. Even the Buddha did that for 6 years. Went away. We don't know what he did. Probably took naps. But he went away and he studied his mind. He looked at his mind. He came back and began to teach, just spontaneously teach. But he didn't leave that and go back into the mountain. He was in the society. And the way he related to the society is he ordained monks. Probably a lot of 13-year-olds that their parents all didn't know what to do with that guy, so they sent him to the Buddha. So lots of ways this works with different cultures. the ancient Indian tradition was very supportive of the spiritual path based on the Advaita, the Upanishads, and in Hinduism in all its different forms. And Buddhism, supportive of Buddhism, especially thank you to Ashoka, in I think 300 years after Buddha passed. Distracted consciousness will take you to this or to that, this and that, this. Takes you right into the basic delusion, which is duality. Advaita is non-dual. Advaita is duality. Advaita is non-dual. There are not two things anywhere. Not two. It's a powerful teaching with very simple words, not two. You don't need the Sanskrit. You can just say, anytime you see other. And that includes any thought you have is not separate from you. Any emotion you have. And so when we have negative emotions where we feel threatened, we try to blame when actually you are that. Your consciousness is, everything you feel is appropriate. Don't fight with anything. Be all the crap you're trying to get rid of. Train your mind, realize your true nature. Sound like I'm barking at you? I am. I mean, I know that we only have so much time. You do, I do. And so I want you to know that I've understood something. I can't even put it into words. I mean, I'm calling it Buddhism. I'm functioning as a Buddhist monk. Have been for a number of years. But it even transcends Buddhism. It transcends everything. It's just the truth. You're not separate from anything. Anytime you see something else, you're lying to yourself. And when I say yourself, I'm saying you're covering up the very your true nature, which is consciousness only. Consciousness only. We need some kind of a concept. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to use consciousness and nothing else. So this is consciousness. That's consciousness. The illusion is this arises in consciousness. No, this arises in itself. It just looks separate. And it separates out because it's having a good time. If you were conscious, then you wouldn't sit around and do nothing, would you? You'd think, I'm consciousness. I think I'll make up a bunch of stuff. So I'll make up trees and rocks and mountains and planets and huge balls of fire in the middle of nowhere with other balls of dirt rotating around there, with the little balls of dirt rotating around them, all envious of the fireball. And the moon kind of got its way because it got to reflect the fireball. It's just me inventing things because I'm just looking at them. I don't know what they are, but I know how they appear. I don't know what they are, but if anything appears, I don't miss it. Not because I'm such a wonderful guy, it's because I'm receiving this. I receive it from my students, and if they ask me a question, I produce. But it's based on what they ask. It's not based on me thinking about it. I don't think very much. I do think about just enough to know the difference between salt and pepper. That's about it. Well, there's a couple other things. We won't go into those, no, because those are too personal. How was that funny? Was that funny?
It was.
Oh. You know something's funny if Milka laughs. Is there a question anywhere? Yes.
Erlam bowing. Is the distracted consciousness included on the spiritual path?
Of course. You can't exclude anything. Everything's included, but it's the awareness of it. So you just see that you're distracted. Eventually, the consciousness or the awareness, which is an aspect of consciousness that is more focused in an area, awareness. Consciousness is everything, everywhere. Consciousness is operating in your digestive tract. It's operating everywhere all the time. It's not separate from anything. It's also not the same as everything. That's why it's so difficult to see with the mind that knows how to paint a fence or how to harvest grain, etc. More?
Erlam bowing. About half of what you just said I couldn't hear because I was really confused about the name change you just gave me.
You're distracted.
That's
That was deliberate. So I just changed the person formerly known as Shodo during the Order of Immediate Light's 5-year anniversary celebration yesterday that we had here in the Zendo. I changed his name to a Tibetan name from was it a Japanese name? I don't know what it I changed it to Erlang, which means basically the same, similar to his original name being when he received Jukai. Changed it from Shining Path to Light Path. But now he has a Tibetan pronunciation or of that, which is Erlang. And then I also changed, where is she? I changed Ondo's name also to, from Ondo, which means Path of Grace, to a very similar name, a little bit different. Is that funny? Did I say it backwards? Did I make a mistake? Usually if he laughs, it's because I've said something incorrect. I'm transcendentally dyslexic. I can't tell the angels from the devil, and so I sometimes call the angels dangels. And what was that? No, how would you think? See, that's the dyslexia actually gets worse when you don't know who you are. Kandroma, Kandroma. Pronunciation is Kandroma, which means she who moves through space. And anyone else that I ordain or transmit in this lineage, if I do transmit anyone else, they'll also receive Tibetan names, since this is the Order of Immediate Light, and it brings together the Soto Zen lineage of Japan and the Tibetan Kagyu lineage, plus the Shambhala tradition and the Nyingma tradition out of ancient Tibet together. So we're not necessarily doing what the Soto Shu in Japan is saying, and we're not necessarily doing what His Holiness Karmapa is saying. We're also not ignoring those. So don't obey. Get your own authority. And if you just observe, then you'll know what you need to do. The path will open up. You'll no longer see an either or anywhere. If you see either ors, the very nature of confusion, there's two things, the right and the wrong. I should go this way, or if you say that to yourself, stop it. And it's hard to stop it, but you can see how you're hooked by your own mind. That's ego. That's the self-centered part of the mind that thinks some things are wrong and some things are right. So you were distracted all that time? So that's awareness. I want to emphasize that. If you're sitting here listening to me, hold forth here, and you're daydreaming about something else, that is not wrong. As I sometimes say, I will say, and I'll say again. You don't have to understand, but you have to study it. You have to look at your life, look at your activity, look how you pick up a fork, look how you fold a napkin or how you leave it crumpled on the table. Look at that, be aware of that. Don't add on the judgment that I shouldn't, or I should, or I should. And if you do then add on to that, then be aware of that. Be aware of that as something showing up rather than something that you concluded. Very difficult to do. Further questions? Yes.
Elena bowing. So if our mind doesn't produce thoughts, are thoughts just manifestations of projection and memory?
You could say it that way. There are aspects of the complete dynamic called relative truth, which has to do with oak leaves and maple leaves all falling. Thoughts are just conditioned awareness showing up as items, showing up as concepts, showing up as fabrications about things. And if someone is born who has a strong ability to think in that area, they become philosophers. And they amaze us all by being Socrates or Plato or what's that other guy's name? Stravatsky. More?
Thank you.
Yes,
Stephanie.
Stephanie, bowing.
Bowing.
Yes, thank you.
So, maybe unrelated, when someone passes away in this life, are we separated from them, or are they still with us, like walking that path?
Don't give me too many choices, you confuse me. So let me say it to you this way, because I'm trying to see what you want to understand rather than exactly what you said.
Yeah.
But I think what you understand may be addressed by what I'm about to say, is fundamentally, that's the basis we're not separate from anything anywhere, never have been. But when we show up in the separation of a life and another life comes up and we're with that individual or that person or that being, and when that one goes away, then you're separated, but it's no different. When I say it's no different, I'm using this as an example. It's no different than they went into another room that you can't get to. You can't get to it, but you're not fundamentally separate. You just don't necessarily buy into how it appears or how it shows up, but realize you're always, you can feel it. You know, someone's passed. You have someone's passed away for you.
Yeah, my mom.
Yeah, she's not going. What's her name?
Dina,
Yeah, she's here.
yeah, she had cancer for a long time.
Yeah, my
Passed
mother
away.
passed of cancer also.
So
she's here.
I've been really suffering since.
Yeah, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But she's here. She's not suffering. You know that?
Yeah.
Okay, now are you aware of how much you're shaking your head? Like this?
No.
Yeah, well, this covers up the feeling.
Yeah. It's hard to look at the feeling.
But you
Hard
can
to
do,
look inward.
but that's awareness. It's hard. You can do it. You don't even have to meditate. You don't have to be a Buddhist. You don't have to listen to me at all. But just pay attention to this woman. And Dina's not separate from you. She's not going anywhere. Just looks like it. And she's actually, I know my mother had it too, and when she left, big relief. She was happy. No more suffering.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
And she will be around as long as you feel connected with her. And time is not important in this area. That area, there's no time happening there. Any further question around that?
Thank you. And do you think,
Not much.
I guess, do you believe?
Nah, I don't do that either.
Uh,
There's a bunch of them there, so get out there. Just here, this is something I often say to people, what do you want to know? And that rather than say, well, do you believe, rather say, what do you want to know? Not what I think about or know. What do you want to know?
I wanna know that if people are sick in this life, they are finding peace wherever they're at now.
I would say without it being opinion particularly, because I think that they have difficulty, that if they're really wound up in themselves, self-centered, then that possibly could go on some. So even though the body has passed away, but nothing lasts, even that will come apart eventually. So, but I would say, nothing's really threatened. It just looks like it is. So don't worry about it. Further?
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your question. Further questions here? Sir?
Long bowing, in that example I brought up, would not being distracted mean I just heard you?
Paraphrase your question so I get closer to what you're looking for.
Am I ever not distracted?
As long as there's a human form, there's going to be distraction. It's only when there's complete liberation, and that can happen while someone is still in a form, in a human form. But it's because of they're in a relationship with aspects of the illusion that others are believing in, and we haven't left them. We can't abandon them, so we have to participate in the illusion. Therefore, sometimes it can look like you're just as confused as they are, because you're trying to help them. So you might have to participate in that craziness and that spinning in order to really help. If you separate yourself too much, then you're just sitting up in the ivory tower. You can't really help anyone.
Long bowing, is that what the Bodhisattva vow is about?
Bodhisattva vow, be with all things, save all beings. There are no beings. But it's a powerful illusion. It's so powerful that we believe that someone is here, and when they go away, we've lost them. Just like Stephanie was talking about her mom. So we believe it, believe they've gone. But nothing has happened. That's an illusion, but it's so powerful that it causes us to weep. You know about it. I know you know about it. It is unreal. It is unreal. That doesn't mean, just like if you have a movie turned on, you know that movie isn't real. You've got your popcorn or your whatever, you're watching the movie, but you're really magnetized by it because the reality of it is so powerful. At the same time, there's this backstory that this was just a movie. So you're able to watch really terrible, confused, sometimes horrible things because it's an illusion. Well, this is the real illusion. This here, the dream you have at night, shows just a sample dream, a sample illusion. This is the real dream. Wake up. How do you do that? You look at it closely and see that this is unreal. You have to see it. And it won't live up to your idea of what something is unreal. Just like in a movie, if you're watching a movie that's really intense, it's convincing. The acting is good, the directing is good, the script is good, everything's going good. It just fits together in such a way that it seems like those are real people in a real life, but you actually know it's a movie because you just turned it on. Or you just paid $5, or I guess it's probably $20 by now. More? Yes.
Wonder Bowling, how do we receive self-centeredness when we're triggered with anger? Is receiving the anger that comes up when we're confronted with self-centeredness actually receiving?
So receiving is the key word. Whatever you feel it. Don't leave what you're feeling for who caused it. Even though there may be an apparent relative cause, don't go somewhere else. Actually, just don't even stay with the feeling. Don't maintain, don't abandon, don't. Do nothing. Whatever shows up has its own speed, its own energy, its own vibration. Just, if you wanted to use some kind of a term, I guess it would be allow. If you sit down on the cushion, hold still, sit symmetrical, with all of your senses open, in particular the eyes, and you just receive, that's how you train yourself to do this. So when you get off the cushion, so-called post-meditation, the boundary between meditation and post-meditation starts to collapse. And you're in it's not even a state, you're just consciousness. There's less and less of the debris of thoughts and emotions and various kinds of panic around discursive thought coming and going and worrying about this, worrying about that, should I, shouldn't I, all of that. More?
Wonder Bowling, Kandroma Bowling.
She's practicing her new name now. Say it again.
Kandroma Bowing,
What does it mean?
she who travels through space,
Moves.
moves through space.
Yes, but she just received that name yesterday, so it's going to take a while. What was your question? So if you don't think about anything, you don't get hooked by anything. And if you do get hooked by anything, you don't care. Because there isn't anything. It's an illusion to feel like you're crazy, to feel like you're sane, to have any kind of feeling at all is unreal. That doesn't mean it isn't hot or cold or threatening or pushy, but it's just not real. It will be very helpful if you can relate to that understanding in a way that isn't necessarily belief, disbelief, ignorance, or grasping.
Kandroma Bowling. I'm still struggling with how to.
You mispronounced your name.
Kandroma.
Yes, it's emphasis on the first syllable. It's not condoma, it's condoma.
Kandroma Bowling.
All right. Sokuzan here. Go for it, lady.
When we're in front of somebody and we're triggered with anger that has come up, we're receiving our own. Is it possible to receive what is coming at us as well?
I feel that it is. Even those are not separate. If you just are on receive, then you're going to receive your own good feelings, difficult feelings, your own garbage, or whatever you want to say, and you're going to receive that which comes at you from somewhere else, but you won't separate it into a little bit. You'll see the separation. So it's what's called discriminating awareness wisdom. Discriminating. So you're discriminating, not picking and choosing right and wrong, should be and shouldn't be, good and evil. You're discriminating. You see the differentiation. You don't mistake the sky for a cloud. You see the difference. There's a sky, As a cloud arises and passes away, you see the difference, but you don't think, well, the sky is more valuable than the clouds, or this person or that person or this thought or that thought or this emotion, that emotion is more valuable. You see the differentiation there without the particular desire to have one thing and stop another. Passion and aggression. This is what wars are about. The whole world is tearing itself apart. There's very, very little mind training in the world that I can see, even by those who are highly, ethical or kind and loving, and but quite often you'll notice they're not kind and loving to everyone. And they're not indiscriminate. They discriminate between right and wrong. And when you do that, I don't care what kind of backup you have. Even the Buddhists do this. Everyone wants to be right and wants to get rid of wrong or bad. This creates a lot of chaos. Very difficult to see the truth. Because if you see the truth, you won't see anything. There's no other way to say it conceptually other than that. If you see something, you'll grasp. Or you see something, you'll reject. Because we're trapped in that dynamic of right and wrong. More?
Kandroma bowing, it seems like you're pointing at being completely present to whatever arises.
Past, illusion. Future, illusion. That's why there's no next. It's just this. And even this is an illusion. But in order to see that this is an illusion, you have to first see the past as an illusion. The future is an illusion. Otherwise, you'll be trapped by this. Some teachings say, be here now, and so on like that. And I don't promote that kind of a thinking, although I did for a few years. But there is no such thing as now. It's an illusion. But it's
Kandroma bowing, it seems like what you're pointing at right now.
Kandroma.
Kandroma bowing.
Thank you.
It seems like what you're pointing at right now is the box that we put ourselves in. That we
You could
live
say
in.
box. Yeah, you could use that kind of, we box ourselves in. Why? It's safe. That part of the consciousness that is self and ego that feels threatened, feels like, doesn't like this. Oh, what about that? People live their whole life just, and a lot of those things, if you look closely at them, one of the ways to not be responsible for that is to call this an opinion or a judgment. Then the wall makes sense. Well, what do you think? What's your opinion about this and this and this, Vern? And Vern says, I don't know, I feel a little bit differently than you do, but I think we have a lot of similarities there. And I feel these people are bad and these people are good. This shouldn't be done, that shouldn't. And we align ourselves with the whole society, everything. Spiritual path is about seeing through all of this. True spiritual path. And I can't even define it. Go ahead.
Kandroma bowing.
Good. You put so much energy into that, making sure you said your name right, you forgot what your name was going to say. That's called awareness. It's not failure. It is not failure. There's no such thing as failure. Because if there's no such thing as failure, there's no such thing as success. There's just this. And ego feeds on success. And it fears or it feels very ashamed of failure. And your whole life can be spent reifying, reestablishing, and nurturing that part of the consciousness that is the self. And that will go from lifetime to lifetime looking for success. You don't have to do that. You can liberate yourself. What will happen next? There isn't one. It's just this.
Kandroma bowing, it seems like, when you say don't miss your life, are you saying that we're missing our life because
You
we're
going to the prison? Which prison?
Cooper Street,
Are they going to let you out when you're done?
I hope so.
Okay. Well, you going to wear robes in there? Wear that? Okay, good.
Robes are too.
Well, tell those inmates I said hello. Thank you. Yes.
Kandroma bowing, when you say that, don't miss your life,
I do.
is it because we're missing it with all the stuff that we've brought in, or the box that we're living in, that we can't really see? For example, we can't really see you. all we can do is see our projections.
Yes.
And so that's what you mean when you say we're missing our lives.
When I say don't miss your life, I can take it a little bit further than that. I can say that when something shows up in your life, we want it. Some things show up, we don't want it. Something else shows up, we want it. Something else shows up, we think it's not important. Passion, aggression, and ignorance. When I say don't miss your life, I say whatever shows up, receive it. If it walks in the door, you've got this coming. Not because you are good or bad or indifferent, but if it happens to you, if it occurs in the illusion of a separate world, don't miss it, because if you push or pull, then you weave yourself into the cause and effect. Pratitya samutpada is a fancy word for this in Sanskrit. You weave yourself into the illusion in such a way that you can't actually die when you die. You don't die, you're still locked into all these beliefs and opinions, judgments, hopes, and fears, and you come back into another lifetime. Don't believe what I'm saying, you can consider it. I'm just speculating on it based on what I understand. But if you don't do anything with it, it's just consciousness. In other words, live it, whatever shows up, receive it. Most important thing you can do with the very things you were given when you were born into this human form, this illusion of a human form, which you're not actually human, you're just consciousness. This is temporary. If I were to use the illusion of time, I could say 100 years from now, you could be reborn as what we commonly refer to as an alien. Consciousness is everywhere. There are bugs, there are ducks. Want me to go down the list? Mice, lots of mice. I mean, you can be, consciousness it's not selective. Consciousness can show up as a muskrat, and it can show up as a human being. And it's not the same consciousness, because there is no such thing as a same consciousness. This is the illusion that we use consciousness to think there's somebody. Not anybody. This is temporary. A muskrat cannot do calculus, but it doesn't need to. But if you're born a human being, then you're going to, because of that whole style, the whole structure, the millions of years of slowly developing this, your consciousness is going to show up in lots of different ways. More?
Kondroma bowing. Can we actually see what shows up? You were pointing at the 3 poisons, but for example, you show up, you say something, can we actually receive that? Or are we receiving only what we're projecting?
No, you can receive it. You should completely receive. You hear my voice? Do you think you're receiving?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the illusion. You have to see it. There's still the eardrums, there's still the vocal cords, but you just receive it. This is why when we have a book study here several times a week, and we study the Dharma, not just what this old guy says, but study what Dogen says, or what the Buddha said, or what Wenung says, or Bodhidharma, or any other teacher in ancient times or current times. We study that. It's important to just receive it and study it and allow yourself to slowly change over from understanding that in a conceptual way to a deeper way that has to do with consciousness only. That kind of study quite often invariably shows up as not knowing what is being said. And people want to leave. Well, I don't understand Dogen, he's too complicated. Or he's too out of joint or something like that. And I say, study it anyway, just study it anyway. I spent many years studying the Dharma back in the 70s and 80s, not understanding what I was studying, but I did it anyway because my teacher said to do it. So I did it. And I'm telling you, I function as your teacher for 10 years or 10 minutes. Don't miss your life. Receive, receive, receive. If you can, also receive how you keep blocking out your life by judgment. Well, yes.
Stephanie Bowen.
Thank you, Stephanie.
So does that include when suffering comes up, or pain and is that just inevitable that is going to happen?
Yeah.
Or is it, how do we not suffer?
Okay, good. I don't know if there's the first teaching, as far as we know, I wasn't there 2,500 years ago, that the Buddha gave, I don't know if you studied Buddhism at all, was life is suffering, dukkha. life is suffering. So just being alive, suffering. And the three types of suffering are the pain of pain, which is a toothache or a stomach ache or something like that, or anything, or it's cancer. It's the pain of pain, the pain of alternation. In other words, you're not having any pain right now, but pretty soon you'll be at the dentist office. So you start suffering right now, even though you're not there yet. The worry. And then the pain of the composite. This last one is important because not many people realize this except those who are enlightened beings. They're the only ones that are really going to be able to, this is on the path of the Bodhisattva, where someone starts to realize the intense pain that's all over the world, all over the universe. So you start to receive all of that pain. But you can do that. It's just pain. It just hurts. It's the downside of it is pain, but the upside of it is you're alive. You volunteered on some level for this nerve ending situation. You're here, you feel, you smell, you taste, you touch, you think, you worry, you. More about that's a good area to question then if you have something else.
What if, the suffering feels unbearable?
That's when you just put others before yourself. It's the only thing you can do. On the path of the Buddha's Dharma, the path of the Bodhisattva, all you can do is put others before yourself. And that's very difficult to do. A lot of the awareness of trying to do that is seeing how you just can't. You just fail. You can't put others. That's when you start to realize how powerful your self-centeredness is. But at some point, I would say at this points, you just do it anyway. This is why, I'm not saying you have to be a Buddhist to do this, but this is why so many people down through the centuries have become monks or received vows formally so they can have a lot of energy and a strong form. Like people who live here practice meditation. They also have to clean stuff and sweep floors. So, but emphasizing that and then doing forms where you constantly return to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and you vow to be with all things, you vow to save all beings, and you do it verbally, and you do it emotionally, and you do it with the gesture of your body by prostrating or bowing. You just constantly just reinforce that. It feels kind of silly when you're doing it. You think, how can that possibly help? Well, body, mind are not two different things. Again, not two. It looks like it. Looks like you can be here and look this way and actually be thinking about something else. You can't. So, one other thing about that, it's just the nature of your question. You're already doing what you need to do. There's nothing to fix. You don't have to change your life or do anything else. Just contemplate that. Contemplate that. Further? Okay. Yes, sir.
Or long bowing. That image of when someone dies, they're just in another room. I'm thinking of when my friend David passed away a number of years ago. I wasn't seeing him anyway, but then when he died, like it felt bad, but nothing really happened. He was already in another room.
Yes.
Why does it hurt when they die though, if nothing really happened?
You're not separate from them. The separation is there, but it's illusory. So if you feel like you drove away and they were in Ohio and you're up here, you feel like they're still living somewhere. Your imagination provides that living quality. And then if you hear the person's passed away, then when you reflect on them just for a second, you realize that they're not in a physical form anymore. But who they are fundamentally is can't go anywhere. But if you're still stuck in your physical form, then of course you're going to have that kind of polarity. It's going to show up as being real, that they actually have passed away and you miss them, if that's what I'm getting close to. Yes.
For long bowing is like the dream area somewhere where I dreamt about him a lot when he passed, and it actually felt like I was running into him. Is there anything actually happening there like that?
Well, nothing is happening in the sense of something that's substantial that you can get a hold of, but you're having your experience and consciousness of that, like a dream. When you're dreaming, the dream seems real. That's because reality is just reality. And so it's always an illusion, but the illusion always finds whatever form it needs. So if there's some kind of grasping, rejecting, or shutting down happening, on any level, even outside of a physical manifestation, then there's going to be some kind of a story path going on, happening there. And so that's all you're doing. You're just dreaming up stuff. You dream a lot. I know you share quite a few of them with me. Yeah. So I'm not sure what you want to know about it, other than it's just more illusion. It's just obviously an illusion because of the dream. But it doesn't really it doesn't mean anything. Some people say, well, this dream means that, or this dream means that, or you can go on and on. Not particularly. I don't know, I'm not disagreeing with it. People want to make their living interpreting dreams, and go ahead.
Any questions on Zoom?
Other questions out there? And yes, Naveed, go ahead. I'll start with you. Since you're the furthest.
Thank you.
Aren't you on the planet Jupiter?
Thank you, Sokuzan. Navid Bowing. I have a tendency to analyze everything from so many different perspectives, and yet I'm not very concerned about the results. And I'm thinking about not knowing, and I'm wondering if not knowing and analyzing can go together.
Yes.
Yes,
You just said it very clearly. So and that's if I were to elaborate a little bit on what you said, as I understand it, is you don't have to change. You're an analytical person. You just realize that the consequences of any analysis are, a little bit empty of any kind of quality of. It's not that they're without value, but they don't have the kind of value that most people who are using analysis are trying to get something and trying to accomplish something. So you're kind of loosening up in that area, I would say. But you don't have to be a different person. You don't have to be non-analytical. Just like I don't have to suddenly be non-dyslexic. I get to be as dyslexic as I want. I get not know what this and not know that, and sometimes I even get my colors mixed up. But I never get mice mixed up with turtles. I always know the difference. Just thought I'd share it with you. Further question, Naveed?
Navid Bowing. Is receiving and not knowing a form of disappointment? Bowing.
It is if the ego has not been thoroughly seen through. If there's still a belief that there's somebody who's experiencing that. The experience is without a self. There's no experiencer. There's no thinker. You can have all kinds of thoughts. You don't have to stop thinking. You can have all kinds of thoughts, and the underlayment of that is there is no one thinking this. It's just generated out of the illusion we call physical manifestation. So yes, that would continue to function. More about that?
Well, it feels a disappointment along with some kind of relief for me. Like what you were saying, disappointment awaits.
Yes,
So
it does.
thank you.
Right here. Everybody didn't see my cup.
Yes.
It's a really good cup. You get to see that every time you take a drink. So when you say disappointment, if there's no person, then the disappointment, it's kind of the final stages of the path. There's ground, path, and fruition. The ground is suffering, difficulty. Suffering is difficult, and the path is seeing the true nature of this. Not a belief, not believing anything. Nobody is savior. There's no savior. You do this with consciousness. This is the path of the Buddhas. You see this. This is all the Buddha said. He was not a deity. So you see this, and on the path, you become more and more and more aware until the fruition, ground, path, fruition. And the path can have all kinds of entanglements, difficulty, obstructions. Maybe with some people it might be a lot smoother, you could say. With some people it might be very, very difficult. Sometimes it might take lifetimes. Sometimes it can happen in one lifetime. Who knows? That's a lot of speculation there. But the fruition is nothing happens. Everything stops happening, you could say. There's no path. There's nothing. Even suffering comes apart because there's no one who suffers. When I say it comes apart, it doesn't cease necessarily. If you're still embodied, the suffering is still there. It just doesn't, it has a different kind of quality to it than something you need to get rid of. So it's, that doesn't mean it's accepted. You'll never hear me use, well, maybe next week, Wednesday, I might use that word. But right now, I don't use the word accept. I don't tell anybody accept anything. Just say, be aware of it. Don't accept it. As soon as you accept something, you cover it up with your acceptance. Don't do it. Don't believe anything, don't cover it up. Don't disbelieve, don't cover it up. Mabao,
Thank you.
you're welcome, sir.
How about bowing? You said earlier in your talk, you said no more warfare,
Yes,
but then later you said you needed to live out your karma. What if your karma is being a soldier?
well, then you better fight. If you fight, if you're a soldier, your karma's being a soldier, you fight. I was in the Marine Corps, and I found out when I was in the Marine Corps, if things had gone into intense distress, I wasn't in quite long enough to be active in the Vietnam era, but I was in. I didn't have to go to war, but I was in during that time. But I was ready to kill people. I was trained to do that, and I was ready to do it, and I would have. And so that's the only experience I have of that, at least in this life. So I would say if that's it. But when I say no more war, I'm just saying the encouragement there is to endeavor to see the warfare in one's own mind. It goes like this, where we're always fighting. The simple form of warfare is picking and choosing this against that. It's a very simple polarity we set up, and that is meant not to get the right solution so much as to reinforce the person who can be right, who won't be disappointed. So when I say no more war, it's just a way of endeavoring to look at that, to suggest that you might want to consider just not fighting with anything. But if you're meant to be a warrior or a soldier, then I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, you can't do this. I remember talking to a young woman who was going in many years ago up north of here in front of a library. I happened to be waiting for a ride there, and she was too. I said, so what are you up to? And she says, oh, I'm just getting ready to go in the Army. And I said, you really want to do that? And she says, yes, I just can't wait to go in and defend my country, that kind of thing. And so having been in the military, I had a lot of negative things about what she might encounter there because I knew about them. But I said, that can be very difficult for you. So I gave her a little bit of negativity, but basically I just told her, wished her well and told her to take care of herself. I didn't give her a lecture on what she should or shouldn't do. So my idea there, insofar I'm this wonderful person, I'm trying to be respectful of what she needs to do with her life. Same thing with everyone. People who come here and practice, I try to be as respectful as I can, although it doesn't always appear that way. Further, Mabao?
What if your karma is to be a warrior, but you don't want to go to war?
Well, don't go. So if you don't want to, that's part of the karma too. So it gets very convoluted. This is why you can't figure anything out. And if someone has a problem, you cannot solve their problem. But you can listen to them. You can be with them. You're separated in your part of your aspect of consciousness is separated as this person, and they're separated as that person. And you're asking me a question. This is what's happening here. And since I know we're not separate, so I know there are no mistakes. So I would say it will have lots of different aspects to it that cannot really be thought out and covered and figured out. So if you just be with that, just be with all things, listen to that person. And if you are that person who, your karma, like you find yourself in the military, back in the days when you could be drafted, which has been a while, but that might be coming back, the way things look sometimes. You could be drafted, someone did not want to go. I know my father, who was killed in in Germany in 1945, did not want to go. But at that time, there wasn't really a good way to avoid that. And he actually somehow knew he would, if he went, he would be killed. And he was. I don't know how much that had to do with it, but so I'm not sure exactly what kind of response would be helpful, other than the first one I said is don't go. I mean, you can actually just not, especially now, if your karma is to be a warrior, you can just not go. That may be a conscientious objector kind of thing, something like that, or find some other way of, another friend of mine, in fact, the person who ordained me years ago, Mike, Shoho, when was this? This was back in the 60s, way back there. We met at art school in 1963, and he was, that's when they still had draft, and he wanted to, they were gonna draft him, and he asked me about it. He said, maybe I should just go. And I said, no, don't go. I just got out of being 4 years in the Marine Corps and said, don't go. You don't have to go. Be a conscientious objector. At that time, he was a Christian. And I said, you're a Christian? I said, and it's pretty obvious you are. He was studying all kinds of texts. He was studying Kierkegaard and all kinds of religious material. So there's no way that they would have any doubts about that. I said, just go and say you don't want to go. And then he ended up working in a hospital for 2 years, where he just worked in the hospital as a volunteer. I think he was paid something, but kind of a volunteer. I just thought you might be interested in that example.
Much so. Thank you.
Yes, Jishin.
Shin bowing. What makes illusion so powerful? Bowing.
The main thing is we believe it. That's the main thing. But we believe it in order to protect the illusion of a self. The primary misunderstanding or mistaken identity is there's a solid being. And we continually reify that by saying, well, we have hands and we have emotions, we have memories, and we can do this. It looks like we have control over things. And relatively in the illusion, that's the interesting thing about this kind of illusion, is you do have some control. You can move this way or move that way. You can sit up, you can go to bed, you can go to work, you can stay home. You have lots of selectivity going on there within the illusion. It's very, very convincing. But you are not a separate being, ultimately. Relatively, yes, you're Jishin, and so you're relative. So it's still convincing. And then we use all the other things, the agreements, the conversations we have with other people reinforce that. Like, what are you thinking about what I'm thinking about what you're thinking? Well, I don't know. What are you thinking about what I'm thinking about what you're thinking? Well, I'm not thinking anything. Well, that's what I was thinking. But you weren't thinking anything. See, I mean, it's just on and on, being silly here, but I'm saying we just continue to structure things in such a way that it looks like there are relationships. There are no relationships. Look closely. You might have to look closely for 30, 40 years, but you need to look closely. If you're listening to me, that's all I'm saying. You should find out who you are. Don't live another day without spending some time looking at your identity, at your self-centeredness. And don't get rid of it. If you get rid of it, that's another credential, which is what? Ego. Don't get rid of anything.
Thank you. You responded to Stephanie. You said that you volunteer on some level to this nerve ending situation. What is that level or time when we volunteer to this nerve ending situation? Bowing.
Right? But
When do we volunteer to, for this nerve ending situation? So birth.
oh, okay, I see. Nerve ending. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Is that funny? No. Thanks. So the time is kind of outside of the whole thing. The time is another relative situation, so there's no when to it. There's no past, no future, we don't really, I'm not saying there's some kind of being that says, I think I'm gonna go do this, although sometimes it's characterized that way. but there's some aspect of consciousness that shows up as an individual and tends to show up as an individual over and over again, but it's the same consciousness doing different things. So the differentiation shows up as individuals. Consciousness is not, millions of different beings. There's just one consciousness. And even the number one can cause difficulty as far as any kind of, well, we'd have to check with Naveed to see what he said about it.
So what is that behind that volunteering? What behind that gesture of volunteering?
It's just a force of reality. In the Buddhist tradition, we call it bodhicitta, the mind of awakening. Bodhi is awakening, and chitta, mind. And relative bodhicitta is just, in a relative sense, trying to do good, help others, and to be more clear, to be more generous, to be more kind, to be more compassionate. And ultimate bodhicitta is see there's nothing to do. This is a complete illusion. There never has been a problem. It's called transcendence. And all spiritual traditions have dynamics in there that are similar to this, but they're all slightly different. Buddhism is the one that's completely non-theistic. There's no one at the head of anything. There's no authority anywhere. But it looks like it. Looks like I'm an authority up here. I'm teaching, and His Holiness Dalai Lama or His Holiness the Karmapa or the Pope or anything. It looks like leaders, but we need some kind of a leader in the illusion to get us to say, okay, you could train your mind this way. You could work in a theistic orientation. Maybe you need to do that. Could you say something? You had training in you have a Master's of Divinity. Could you, before you became a monk, could you say something about that?
About what?
Well, let's start out with your name. Kandroma.
Kandroma.
Kandroma. Ondoma. So, can you repeat the question? So that Kandroma. You have it?
No, I don't know what the question is. I thought you were pointing at something else. Now I can't remember what she had actually said.
Okay, well, you need to start where I started, and that's with her question. Go ahead, Jishin.
Jishin bowing. I ask what is behind that gesture of volunteering to be in the this nerve ending situation we are all bowing.
Okay. And you don't have to use my dynamic. You can use from your training as a Catholic, what do you call you guys?
I still don't know how that question would apply, because in the Christian tradition, there is no previous life. And so is there some volunteering? Do you volunteer to be born? I don't know of any teaching in that regard in the Christian tradition.
Yeah, I think that's a good response. It's just different. Not correct. It's just different ways of working with consciousness. It doesn't mean that Buddhism is somehow better, or we don't really know. We'll all find out, and we all pass away and say, oh my gosh, I didn't believe in God. What a terrible thing. I'm sorry, God. But something, it's being silly, but it's something like that. We don't really know. I don't know if we really need to know. The important thing is and it isn't going to matter if there is some kind of supreme consciousness or something. I would say that if there is a supreme consciousness, you're not separate from it. There's not the separation when the body-mind complex and all the worlds comes apart, and there's just consciousness. There's just this. And so could you say that's God? Well, if that seems convenient to you, could you say it's Buddha nature? The only word I use is consciousness. The same thing that's controlling your digestive tract is the same thing that causes leaves to grow. Not separate, not separate, not separate. Yes, sir.
Kabowing question from YouTube from Ath in the UK. Why do we believe almost every silly thought and dream that comes into our heads?
Yes, good question. Why do we believe all that? Because it protects us. It protects that part of consciousness that thinks there's a dreamer, and that thinks there's a believer, and thinks that there's silly thinking, and it reinforces that. And then what happens is what comes on top of that is, well, that's silly. Well, there's another thought coming. All those structures, those laminations, one over the top of the other, create a structure that's so powerful that it just looks real, and it just looks like a lot of different levels. Just looks real, and that's why. So anytime you have a why, you're going to have a big cause. So I would say math, but I would say is first look at what is it rather than why. If you say why is it, you go in circles. You get why because the whole world is doing it. Why is that happening? Because of this. Why is that happening? Because well, you need to stop that. Well, you need to start this. Well, you need more and less, more and less. You get kind of caught in the illusion of right and wrong, up and down, back and forth, success and failure, and so on. So, but if you say, what is this? That's what you're doing when you practice sitting meditation. Sit down, hold still, look at the wall, look at the floor, and say to yourself, what is this? You could also say the other one, it's the other part of duality. The what is out there. And the other part of duality, or the subjectivity, is who, and that's in here. You say, who is this? What is this? Who is this? Either one of those will help you, or both of them. Any further?
Yoke bowing, yeah, actually had it earlier when I missed. Sometimes distraction seems to alleviate what is. How to override distractions when suffering is maximum. Thank you
Just
kindly.
receive. Don't have to override anything. Just be aware of it. Distraction will take care of itself. It's not separate. It will just come apart. If you're trying to push on it, it will fight back. If you're trying to ignore it, it'll hang around and change shape. If you're trying to make up reasons why it should be there or why you can't get rid of it, then it gets its fuel from that. Do nothing with it. Just be aware. You're actually, through the sitting practice of meditation, you're returning to a very, very radical aspect of awareness, which is just to be aware, just receive. Awareness doesn't produce a damn thing. Consciousness does, but the awareness part of consciousness is just to receive colors, shapes, smells, tastes, sounds, feelings, emotions. Just receive. Be very generous. Be very, very generous. Be extremely generous. Give everything your attention without comment. Thank you so much.